Greetings, masterminds. I had a buying experience or two recently that left me feeling frustrated, annoyed, and kind of sad. It was frustrating for me that people could be so blasé about business. It was annoying to spend money with people who really didn't seem to appreciate the business I gave them, and it was also sad that as a society, we seem to have entered a phase where thoughtless, inconsiderate, sloppy service is becoming more of the rule than the exception. You know, buying is an experience. Sometimes it's a good experience, sometimes it's great, sometimes it's terrible, and sometimes it's just average, which equates to totally forgettable. But it's always an experience. So that raises the question, what kind of buying experience are you creating for your prospects and clients? If it's great, you will likely have repeat customers. If it's terrible, you won't. Now, these are at either end of the spectrum. If the experience is good, somewhere in between, you might get another chance, or they might try someone else. And if the experience is totally forgettable, well, at that point, you're probably finished. In the last few weeks, I had a landscaper tell me he'd get me an estimate on Monday. It arrived on Tuesday. Now, that wasn't a terrible experience, but it wasn't great either. He at least apologized for the delay. That alone made him stand head and shoulders above many of the other experiences that I've had recently. I spent a bunch of money with a travel agency. Prior to purchasing, I had trouble getting answers to my questions because the person missed my questions the first time around. I'd write it in an email, they'd respond to one thing but miss something else. Then after that, I had to hound them to get copies of receipts for stuff that they were already billing to my credit card. I also noticed that the responses that I got always came at the very end of a business day, which would inevitably push my next set of questions into the following day. That resulted in higher ticket prices and fewer good seats left on the aircraft. In another situation, I had a very straightforward pre-purchase question with a service provider that was not answered, not just by the person I was dealing with, but by anyone in the organization. But I needed what it was they were offering, so I just placed the order and figured I'd answer the question for myself after I took delivery of the product. It reminded me of that famous political quote that said, "We have to pass the bill so that you can find out what's in it." It's definitely not an ideal way to do business. Now, the selling experience, and more importantly, the buying experience for the customer, needs to be great. If it's not great, people are not going to want to come back. You know, many people like to complain about Amazon, and while I don't love Amazon as a company, when I order from them, I usually know where my order stands. They deliver my invoices right away, they provide my estimated delivery dates up front, my orders almost always arrive within that window of time, and ultimately, I don't have to think about it after I've ordered it. For me, that's huge. So while I might not love them as a company, I have to say they at least have my confidence. And I find that my confidence is sadly lacking when it comes to many of the other organizations I deal with. Business coach Dan Sullivan says that much of success boils down to three things. 1, show up on time. 2, do what you say you're going to do. And 3, say please and thank you. And while that sounds like some really basic stuff, today, it is basic stuff that is ignored far too often. So as you consider the type of experience you want to create for a prospect or client, think in terms of a Disney park visit. It's a totally immersive experience, a totally immersive environment. Everything you see, hear, smell, and experience as a visitor has been conceptualized, orchestrated, choreographed, and executed, usually flawlessly. Every aspect of the experience is decided in advance. They know what they want you to see, hear, feel, and experience, and they create the environment to make that happen. And while it's probably not possible for us to create a Disney-level experience in every one of our selling situations, it's usually a great idea to try to get as close to that ideal as possible. We need to consider not just the type of buying experience our prospect will have, but the quality of that experience, the texture of that experience. You know, most salespeople focus on what a prospect will hear from them in their presentations, in their recommendations, their sales pitch, and their close. But there's far more to the experience than just what you say and what they hear. At least there can be, and there should be. So ask yourself this: what do your prospects and clients see from you? What do they see in terms of your peripheral materials, your emails, your texts, your brochures, your support materials, the way you dress, the way you present yourself, the way you come across, the samples you provide? What do they feel? Physically, what do they feel with your product in their hands? But at a deeper level, what and how do they feel about their interactions with you? Do their interactions make them feel comfortable, confident, happy, and secure? If so, you're going to get a lot more business. Very few salespeople think in terms of the feelings they want to generate in their prospects and clients. To the extent that they think about it at all, they're generally hoping those feelings are simply a side effect or a byproduct of what they're showing or telling their clients. But if you want your sales experience to have some depth, it needs context. It also needs to create positive feelings that will make your prospects and clients want to repeat the experience, have that experience again. But to do that, you have to think beyond the typical show and tell approach. Recently, my colleague Dave Kilmer was talking to a distributor who had approached us about our training materials about 3 years ago. At the time, she didn't have the $300 or $400 to invest in our program. So her plan was to get her sales up, generate the money, and buy the program. Flash forward, 3 years later, she was investigating our program again. Her sales volume was exactly the same as it was 3 years earlier. Now, unsurprisingly, she still didn't have the few $100s that it would take to invest in her own training and education. Let's face it, the next year is going to come and go regardless of whether or not we take the actions necessary to grow our businesses. So will the year after that, and then the year after that, and the year after that. So it's important to consider how long you're willing to wait to have the type of business that you want to have, the type of clients you actually want to interact with, or the level of sales and profits that you're dreaming of. As a member of the Top Secrets Inner Circle, we want to help you, right? That's the goal, is to be able to help you. So if you've got questions, if you've got issues, things that you're struggling with, please don't hesitate to reach out. You can do it in the comments below, or you can always just reach out to us, give us a call, 800-494-2721. We are happy to help. Members of our inner circle, you're the reason we do this stuff. The fact that you're clients of ours and the fact that you've been with us, many of you for a very long time, our goal is to help you get what you're looking for. So please be sure to take advantage of all the benefits we provide. Thanks a lot. Talk to you soon.